Well, hello and welcome to our front yard garden. This is episode number 26 of 2024. It's August 4th, our first episode in August. And it's a Sunday afternoon. Usually I do these on Fridays, but I just didn't get a chance until now. It's a nice day, very blue sky, some clouds. We got some rain last night. I think we're going to get a little more rain tonight. And right now it's close to 90 degrees. It doesn't really feel all that hot, but it's a good day to do a garden video. And we'll see some things that are a little different than the last couple of videos that I've done, which were early in the morning. And as we start off here at the mailbox bed, one of the first things we notice is that our morning glories, which really were out in full bloom this morning, are largely wilted. They do not like this heat. So after about 10 o'clock or so, maybe 11 o'clock, they're pretty much wilted for the day. But the good news is, as you look closely, we have a lot of buds, a lot more flowers yet to come. So we're going to continue to get color probably throughout this month, hopefully into September too. When we've had these in the past, sometimes they'll bloom right up until you get the first frosts, which would be very welcome. So we'll see. As I've said before, they've kind of taken over for the clematis, which are kind of done for the year. We had a few little clematis flowers that bloomed last week. They're already gone. They do not like the heat. So that's kind of nice. Then also in this front bed here, we have vinca that are doing very well. Both ones that we got at Walmart, right through here, and then ones that came up from seeds from last year, reseeding along the edge of the driveway here, mixed amongst weeds and more morning glories. Now they all need some water. They're a little bit wilted here in the heat, but basically doing very well. And then the most obvious thing in this bed is the zinnias, and we've got a lot of them. They're doing very well. Clearly the moths and butterflies are very happy with them. We have a huge number of bugs all over these flowers. A lot of different patterns on the wings, and a lot of different colors, from the pinks to a different shade of pink, almost more of a coral color, bright orange, bright almost mustard yellow, and then a pale yellow. So in the backyard we have some that are bright purple. We have these maroon ones back here. So these have done very well, and they were all planted from seed. We did not buy any of these at stores. Jenny grew them all in the back and put them in maybe 2-3 months ago, and they've all come from there. Also have some bright red right in here that have done really well. We haven't had that color before, so we're kind of excited about that. And then really the rest of the front yard is more variations on the same. This bed, about the only thing that's really happening here are the vinca. A little different color. Instead of the red, we have pink or purple and white. These are all grown from seed this year. And then our miniature or petite knockout rose is hanging in there. It's not, I wouldn't say it's thriving, but then we haven't really deadheaded it or fertilized it, so it hasn't had the best chance in the world. Over here, more of the same, vinca and zinnias, and a couple other things. We've got dianthus that are still blooming, not in large numbers. This is mostly a spring flower, but they're still giving us some color, that bright pink. And then of course our marigolds in the back. I'm not even going to show a close-up of those because they need to be deadheaded pretty badly. They do well in the spring and early summer. Once you get into this really hot weather, the size of the blooms is not so big. These were what I always called pom-pom marigolds with really big blooms on them, but as it's gotten hotter, the blooms have gotten smaller. and they don't look that healthy, although they are still putting out flowers in large numbers. But I need more than anything to just deadhead these, and I think they would look a whole lot better. Even got a couple tomatoes that have come up just from seeds here in the front. I don't see any fruit yet, but we do have a couple flowers, which is nice. And then unfortunately we have a nice zinnia with this bright red color. I don't know exactly what's happened with this. I don't know if it fell over or if it's just dry. I'm going to run the sprinkler system on this later today, because we've gone back and forth, as we tend to do in the summer here in the upstate of South Carolina. We'll get periods where we have 4 or 6 weeks of just almost like desert dry weather, and then it'll rain every day for 2 or 3 weeks, and then it'll be dry again. So sometimes keeping things wet but not too wet can be a little bit of a challenge here. Got another vinca that has come up. This is a little different one. It's not one that we have a lot of. It's very pale pink compared to the dark ones. Kind of a nice little variation. And then a Russian sage, still putting out some nice little purple flowers, very delicate little things. These zinnias are a little different type. They're very tall as the others are, but the flowers, some of the flowers at least, are very small. And then we have ones like this coral colored one, which is almost a perfect circle, but a lot thicker than most of them. So it's a different sort of appearance than what we're used to. It's really cool. It's one of the things I love about the zinnias, is the variation that you get, even on the same plant. You'll get different colors. Behind all of that, we have black-eyed Susans. They're about halfway through. We don't have large numbers of them up here, but just enough to give us some yellow color in the background, which is nice. And then I forgot to mention our liatris, which is now done for the season. That is the tall stalk there. Those were kind of a bright purple color. You can just see maybe a couple little stragglers there towards the bottom. Those were bulbs that we put in back in the spring. And then we do have one climbing rose, which struggled early, but it's doing really well now, still giving us a lot of color. Unfortunately, our other climbing roses over here haven't done a lot. We have a couple flowers up there, but nothing dramatic. Just a lot of branches. I mean, this one is easily 10 or 12 feet long, this vine, but it hasn't really done a whole lot in terms of flowers. So continuing to move this way, we get over into the shade. Not really much of anything going on over here. Our hydrangeas are basically done for the year. They were bright pink and blue color early in the spring, or midway through the spring, but they've all done, finished. They stay out, but they'll just sort of slowly continue to fade and lose their color for the next month or two. And I'll show off just real quickly our lemon grove, as I like to call it. Not really doing a lot of greenery here, but no buds right now. Big lemon tree over here. It's kind of recovering from a parasite situation. It's getting some new growth on it, which is kind of neat. Orange tree's kind of doing the same thing. It never did put out any flowers this year. In fact, it didn't put out flowers last year. Not sure what the problem is with that. It might be fertilization. I honestly don't know. We tried giving them a little bit more sun exposure, but that didn't work well. The leaves all seem to be burned by that. So I've come to the conclusion, despite the fact that I hear other people talking about how they've been able to grow lemons and oranges here in the upstate, I have not had that success myself, unfortunately. More hydrangeas that are finished up. We do have one snapdragon here, which didn't do much in the spring, and it's blooming now. For some reason, it's been on a really delayed cycle, which is interesting because the ones over here were wildly in bloom back in the spring, and then they finished up. We have a couple areas that are blooming just a little bit, tiny little bit of color, not a whole lot. And then this is pretty much entirely a spring bed. irises, hostas, viburnum, azaleas, hydrangeas, all things that do well in the spring, but not so much right now. The only thing that has any flowers on it at this point is this butterfly bush, and it has just a few flowers. I think I said this last week. I thought it was done for the year, and then out of nowhere we started getting some more of these pale purple flowers, and living up to its name, it's attracted a very large butterfly up here, and there you see his wings wide open. Always a beautiful sight. I don't typically see a ton of butterflies on these. We have other things like Veronica that are covered with insects, although those are usually bees. Our zinnias actually get a lot more butterflies and moths than these things do. These are our knockout roses. Pretty much a spring flower. We don't get a whole lot of activity out of those after that. And then we'll finish up in this bed. Of course, again, a lot of vinca. We have some wildflowers. My wife and I have both forgotten the name of this little delicate white flower here. But it's giving us a little bit of color. It's primarily a spring plant, but it's still slightly in bloom. And we've got a nice dahlia here. Not quite a dinner plate dahlia, but it's a nice bright purple color. It's really pretty. More vinca through here. Some more dahlias on the verge of opening up over here. And then mixes of daisies. And we do have a big climbing rose back here with a lot of pink flowers on it. This was dormant for a couple of months after it first put out in the spring. And now it's giving us some flowers again, as are, well, I'll get to that in a second. We have some more zinnias through here, and then one Asiatic lily. Most of these are done. This one got put in a little bit later, so it's just blooming now. And this area, if you've been on any of these videos, this was full of daylilies. They're all done. But this particular knockout rose is covered with coral colored flowers. It's doing really well, which is nice to see. Back here, not much going on. We had a lot of Asiatic and Oriental lilies, all done now. Our bee balm or monarda, all done. And it's really about it. So the front yard is not a big, I mean, aside from zinnias and vinca, the front yard is not a big summer garden. Summer garden for us tends to be more in the backyard, and we're going to do that video next. So as always, hope it's sunny wherever you are. Catch up with us on the backyard garden in a moment, and until next time, happy gardening.